Aloha. The video you're about to watch is episode number 1 of a new series that we're launching entitled World Changers. In this new series, we're going to be highlighting and showing the work and life of individuals who are changing this world for better. And this first episode is one of the most important ones. It's about my good friends, Daniel and Prima Lui. They serve as missionaries right here in the mountains of Palawan in South Philippines. And just 6 days ago, Daniel and the Yellow Bee, the name of his helicopter, went missing somewhere over the waters in South Palawan. And right now, I'm standing on what has become the base camp for a search and rescue operation where we're looking for Daniel, Nurse Janelle, and the 3 passengers he had on board with him on the vessel. It's day number 6, we're still searching, and we don't know what the outcome is. We're right here in the midst of this terrible tragedy. But we wanted to share this video that I had the privilege of recording over a year ago. I want to release it now so that you can see what kind of person my friend Daniel was, what kind of person he is, I should say, and the life that he chose to live, and that you can be inspired that no matter who you are, you can make a difference in your world, and you can be a world changer as well. So please, as you watch this video, please keep us in prayer here and pray that no matter what the outcome, that the life and legacy of Daniel and Prima Lui will continue to change the world and make positive impact throughout the ceaseless ages. And so I hope you enjoy this video. And this one is dedicated to you, my brother Daniel. Love you so much, brother. And I know I'm gonna see you soon. Many people will walk in and out of your life, but only a relative few will leave footprints on your heart forever. For me, Daniel and Prima Lui are some of these people. This young couple have some of the biggest hearts ever. They're steeped in service and have laid themselves on the altar of the world's need. They are truly world changers of the highest order. Their love story began under the Medical Mission Pavilion here in Palawan, where they first met back in 2015. Prima was working on the surgical team and Daniel on the dental team. Both had the same desire to serve others in the mission life. And from that initial encounter began a special connection and friendship. They didn't fall in love, but rather they grew in love as they allowed the Lord of Love to lead in their union. I was there when they first met on that mission trip here in the Philippines, and I had the high honor of officiating their wedding several years later. One of the most special things I've ever witnessed was their very first kiss that they both saved for the marriage altar. Daniel has committed his life to serve others as a mission helicopter pilot. He has the best seat in the house, the front row seat to the stunning views of the Palawan Mountains. I was so blessed to share that role with him as he gave me my first helicopter flight lesson. Not only is Daniel a helicopter pilot, he is also a flight instructor, mechanic, and paramedic. And he is the only helicopter pilot in this region, the one and only option for the jungle people in this region to be medevaced to safety by helicopter.
And picked up a 20-year-old young man who's been suffering for about a week, but he's been getting weaker and weaker.
Originally from the US, Daniel gave up a lot in order to serve here in the Philippines. He could be making a lot of money right now, living a comfortable life in the United States. But after he saw the need here in the jungles of Palawan, he knew that this was where God was calling him. And he's been humbly living out that calling ever since. Prima is a medical doctor. She too could be making lots of money working in some hospital. But instead, she and Daniel are taking the hospital to those who have no access to medical care. She loves serving others with joy in the ministry of healing. They are unknown to the world, but here in the jungles of South Palawan, they are local heroes, ambassadors of hope, and agents of change, unselfishly giving of themselves to heal and uplift strangers, expecting nothing in return. They are missionary volunteers in the truest sense of the word. They do not charge for their services, nor do they receive a salary. In fact, they do their own fundraising for the fuel and supplies they need to fulfill the mission in helping others in need. I asked them both why they do it, and here's what they had to say.
The reason that I chose to serve here, to spend, I guess you could say, my youth here, is I had a change of life focus. Before I was just trying to find what job I could do that I could make money and enjoy myself, but I realized that life is not just about serving ourselves, but it's about saving others, about helping others. And so for me, what has kept me here all these years is a sense of that calling, that life is really about helping others and not just living for ourselves.
Daniel pilots this 1959 Swiss Air Force helicopter, which he personally raised the funds to purchase. Now, most helicopters like this are either out of commission or in museums, but this vintage workhorse is being put to good use in lifting people out of their suffering. Almost every day, you can find Daniel flying this aircraft, bringing the sick to the hospital, delivering supplies like medicine, food, school supplies for the children, and building materials. Much of the areas they serve are in the remotest parts of the jungle, places that are treacherous to hike and almost impossible to pass during the rainy season. When a person gets sick in this isolated mountainous region, what starts as a simple cold or injury can quickly turn life-threatening. The long distance, the lack of roads, the treacherous terrain can prove to be too much, especially for the elderly, the little ones, and the vulnerable. And even worse, if a person is weak or cannot walk, they will have to be carried out over the rough, sketchy terrain, a very miserable journey. But all of that has changed with the work that Daniel, Prima, and their amazing team of volunteers are doing. What would normally take hours or even days to hike now takes only minutes by helicopter. And minutes can mean the difference between life and death. This means that the young girl who is sick with malaria can now receive the proper medical care. The elderly man that fell from the coconut tree now has a chance of survival. And the school building project that would have taken years to complete can now be finished in months and even weeks. Without a helicopter, the building supplies would have to be hiked in, one bag at a time. But now the helicopter can transport a whole load of supplies in minutes to keep construction moving forward. So many lives have been saved and forever changed by the sacrifice and commitment of this power couple. They and their team are making a difference for eternity. The incredible example and commitment of these young people have inspired me to re-examine my own life. It has caused me to take internal inventory on how I use my limited time here on earth. It has challenged me to dig deeper within myself and search for more ways on how I can be a world changer and a destiny transformer. To use my gifts, talents, time, treasure, and influence to bring positive change in this world. To be a burden lifter and an ambassador of hope. How about you? How are you spending your time and your treasures here on earth? What are you doing to ease the suffering of humanity? Not all of us are called to serve in Palawan like Daniel and Prima. Not all are called to a foreign mission, but all of us are called to be missionaries wherever we are, to plant a seed, to light a fire, to lift a burden, to change a life for eternity. Whether that be in a faraway land or in a local community or even in our very own home, we can all make a difference like Daniel and Prima. I don't know where God is calling you, but I do know that He's waiting for each and every one of us to live out the purpose He has given us and to live a life of service to others. So go out in faith and holy courage. Ask God to make you a blessing to someone today. And when our hike through the treacherous jungle of this earth is finished, and we ascend into the clouds to meet the Lord in the air, we will then be able to hear the words from the divine missionary himself, the one who left the comforts of heaven to rescue us here in the jungles of this earth. As He places the golden crown upon our brow, and we look into the face of our Creator, He will then say to us, as He looks into our eyes, "Well done, thou good and faithful servant. Enter now into the joy of the Lord." May these wonderful words be said of me, and may these blessed words be said of you too. So let Jesus be your pilot and physician today. Allow Him to bring you the healing that you need today. And as you do, He will pilot you all the way into the heavens, where there will be no more sickness, no more suffering, no more pain, and no more death. And by God's grace, I'll meet you in the sky above. He's the man. Missionary pilot, Prima Lui, everybody. Making a difference here in the mountain villages, Palawan.
You know, we're brought into situations that try us, that test us, that challenge us, and it helps us to grow. And at the same time, it's very rewarding to know that even if one life was saved, it would still be totally worth it. Well, by God's grace, we should all be missionaries lifetime. I don't believe that everybody has to be an overseas missionary or a pastor or a teacher, but I do believe we all need to be missionaries wherever God places us. So that's what that life focus is about. That whatever vocation, whatever career, whatever calling, whatever place God puts us, that we need to make that our mission.
So when you're flying and you can't see for whatever reason, something happens, like maybe a cloud or it gets dark and you have to use instruments, like what are you looking for?
So yeah, you really have to only focus on your instruments if you are in instrument conditions, because if you go based on feeling, your body will lead you astray. It will tell you like you're turning or you're descending or climbing when you're really not. And so you can't rely on feelings, you have to rely only on instruments. And even in general, even when you can see, when you're navigating, for example, this is the compass, and if you're trying to follow a compass heading, if you focus just on this, you will overcompensate and you'll be zigzagging like this. So you have to pick a reference point out in front of you that's in line with your compass heading and fly toward that and then cross-check with your compass. So it's like the same thing in our spiritual walk. You know, God gives us the counsel, the Bible, spirit of prophecy, all of that. But if we only focus on that, then we're going to be trying out of our own efforts and going here, going there, doing this, doing that. Well, we have to focus ahead on Christ and cross-reference, the Bible, spirit of prophecy, and that will lead us on a straight course. So there's a lot of spiritual lessons in flying.
Otherwise, it's just head knowledge and not an actual experience. And the head knowledge, even though it's good, it can also lead us in the wrong direction.
Yes.
If we're not focusing on the main subject.
Yes. Yeah.
That's
which
powerful.
is Christ. Yeah.
Powerful.
Of course, the compass gives the true reading, but if we will overcompensate if we just focus on that. We have to look out.
Wow.
So that's why we have to focus on Christ. Of course, the Bible is the true reading also, but the main focus is Christ. Yeah.
A lot of people can know the Word of God, but not know the God of the Word.
Yes. Absolutely.
And so what a profound lesson.
Yes.
And what I love what you also said is that we cannot trust our feelings.
No.
We have to rely upon the evidence of the actual reading.
Yes, they will lead us astray.
So sometimes you felt like you were going backwards.
Yes.
When you were actually going forward.
Yeah, so your instruments will tell you something completely opposite of your feelings.
Wow.
So you really cannot rely on your feelings.
Unreal.
Yeah.
Powerful life lesson, guys. All right, let's go check out this jungle school.